have to say vaccines are safe and effective.
Vaccines are safe and effective?
Liar! With it written all over my hand.
What did that feel like?
I felt silent all the time.
Frustrating.
Yeah, I was frustrated. I felt like I was silent for my whole life. Like, it was just like complete silence. All you knew was just you guys.
But the interesting thing is he understood everything that was around him and going on. He just couldn't talk.
First of all, tell us who you are.
Jeff Shelf?
Michelle Martin?
Aiden Shove.
And how old are you, Aiden?
14.
And this is stories about you, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, so let's hear what happened. And do you say you had 4 children?
We have 4.
And you're the youngest?
Yes.
It is the youngest.
So to start with, before this happened, your other children were fully vaccinated?
The girls were. Yes, 3 daughters. Fully vaccinated.
But tell me they haven't had Gardasil.
They did not. Only our oldest, which we were talked into and bullied, and she was very sick for 2 months. And when I got home, I looked up and they gave her Gardasil, and because she was behind on her tetanus and whooping cough, they had to jab her with that. And been with this doctor for a long time, and I was on the fence, but I thought, you get in that position, so you're like, okay. She got home and literally was sick and in bed, pain, couldn't eat. She was a mess for 2 months, and I looked it up on the computer. I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? She could die.
But first of all, you didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Get in that mindset. How is she now? This is not. We were not going to go into this story.
No.
We were going to talk about. But just because you brought it up.
She's fine now. She's 25. She had the shot when she was 18. But this is also a child that was fully vaccinated that had chronic lung disease, was on every medication available. ADD. But she decided at 16, she's like, Mom, I'm not taking any more of these meds. I'm sick of the hospital. And we were eating organic and doing better. And she started to get better, not being on any more pharmaceuticals. And she's 25 now, and very happy to say she has a daughter who's 2 that's vaccine free. And
I thought she had a daughter. A lot of these Gardasil girls are not able to conceive. So
she was. It wasn't a problem. It was like, oh my gosh, I'm pregnant. But beautiful. That child has never been sick. And then we have 2 other daughters that also I would consider vaccine damage because their immune system was never good. Everybody was always sick, always asthma, allergies, problems. But
once you wake up to what is going on, you then look back and you think, oh my gosh, that explains everything on every child that's ever been vaccinated.
Yeah.
All right, so then you were born.
Yes.
And what year were you born in?
2001.
2001. And did you have a good birth? I'm joking.
He was 3.5 weeks late, totally full term. He came out looking like he was 2 months old, beautiful baby. We had a good friend that was a chiropractor, and when I was pregnant with Aiden, he talked to us about vaccine, shots, 911. And I saw that children were having issues, but nothing was really talked about autism or anything, and so we didn't do anything when he was born and until he was 18 months. And we were being bullied by his doctor, and she had been our daughter's doctor. And he was perfect until that 18 months, and they really pushed it, and all he had was the MMR.
So why did he only have the MMR? Was it because you insisted, or what?
No, that's all that they said. He's so behind, he hasn't had anything. We'll just start with the MMR. That's because they knew that they were pushing and pushing, so we were like, okay, I guess, And in my back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, the girls have always been vaccinated. I guess they're okay. This is before we knew anything, and we didn't even realize that he was damaged right away. Everything just was in slow motion, and we had 3 girls with issues. One was a heart patient, one had epilepsy, so we were just always really not paying as much attention, I think. But as time went on, we started noticing Aiden was losing eye contact, and there wasn't really any speech going on, and we were taken to the doctor. We took him to the speech therapist, and they're like, well, he has 3 older sisters. They talk for him all the time. But the girls were all potty trained by 18 months through the night. By 22 months, they were perfect. And Aiden was 3, 4, 5, and the potty training wasn't there, and then he had sensory issues, meltdowns, food issues, constipation.
These things that your mum's listing are all nothing to do with you. They are just the injury side effects
Yes.
from the vaccine. So this is not, we're not talking about really you as a person. We're talking about the injuries from the vaccine.
Yeah.
And they're all the same.
Yeah.
You know, everyone who's had that injury has had the same, and it's not okay that happened to you. I'm really sorry about that. Carry on.
Well, by age 7, I knew I couldn't homeschool him because the girls were homeschooled for quite some time. And Jeff and I talked about sending him to public school, and I didn't even know how we were going to do it. He would have been in 1st grade. He wasn't potty trained. He couldn't talk. He had a few of his own words. Didn't really recognize emotion. He had sensory issues. And his 1st grade teacher didn't want him. She literally was new, and she's like, I don't know what to do with him. And so a different teacher took him in her class, and she would report to me every mother's nightmare of now the kids want to talk to him and play with him. He's really an outcast. We don't know what to do with him. And so there was a very special teacher who had a class for children with disabilities. And she saw Aiden, and she only did 2nd and 3rd graders, and she fell in love with Aiden and said, I want him in my class. And little did we know how much that helped him, because the school set up an IEP, which was awesome, and they had at least 14 different teachers and specialists with him through the week. So he had, OT, PT, speech. He had a shadow person all the time. He had a special gym class. And then Melanie's class, where you got to cook and be yourself, and every
That
day.
was insane.
You liked that, didn't you?
It was insane.
He remembers it. And so Aiden started school in such a way that we didn't know what would happen, because when he was diagnosed right before school, we were told he'd probably be institutionalized. And Jeff was the one that said, we're going to turn this around. We're going to make this right. So getting back to Melanie, though, this is a teacher that embraced Aiden and every day would tell him, I love you. She would hug him. She loved you. And that was like the place for him to be. So through the year, things started to change because we changed his diet.
So what diet are you on?
What do you do?
What do you mean?
What kind of
Do you have
food do you eat?
gluten-free food?
Yes.
Organic?
Yeah.
Organic? Yeah,
Yes.
that's good.
He also
I
does
eat all
his
that.
own shopping.
Sorta.
Do you know everything about GMOs?
What's your favourite food to eat?
That's tough.
Do you cook yourself?
Well, all the time. Sometimes
cook.
he gets to get.
You like cooking?
He's a
chef.
good cook. Yeah, he's a chef.
Good
But you
to
like
hear.
pizza a lot.
Do you make your own pizza?
Yes.
Wow.
Mostly.
Gluten-free?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
We
So,
need
yeah.
more good, healthy chefs in this world.
But with time, and I think a lot of the nutritional needs that he had, he started to really come out of it. And by the end of 1st grade, you were talking, recognizing emotion.
That was when I was starting 2nd
Well, when he
grade.
started
Yeah.
school, he had his own language, they said.
32 words of his own language. So,
How can you even count that?
Oh, mummies count everything
Yeah.
that our babies achieve.
yes.
Good
But,
achievement.
Jeff was
Do you remember being ill? Because that's what happened to you. You got,
Only a few times.
yeah. So what do you remember from it? And we're really grateful for you talking about it, because it helps so many other people.
I don't remember that much.
But
Just
what
like,
do you really remember?
What?
Remember I'd ask you, what was it like for you? Do you remember that you couldn't talk?
I do.
What did that feel like?
I felt silent all the time.
Frustrating.
Yeah, I was frustrated. I felt like I was silent for my whole life. Like, it was just like complete silence. All you knew was just you guys.
But the interesting thing is he understood everything that was around him and going on. He just couldn't talk.
And you could wonder what that feeling's like, because so many of my friends have children who have been injured, and they by these vaccines, and that we know that they can understand us, but they can't speak, and it's incredibly sad. But do you know why? Can you remember why it couldn't come out of your mouth? They couldn't speak.
I just thought I was just mostly sick all the time. From what I thought.
It's hard to describe.
Well, you mean like, so you were feeling sick the whole time and
Yes.
language is like the last thing?
Yes.
Well, that makes sense because he had a
does.
lot of stomach issues, ear infections, and he was always sick. Always, given this antibiotic, that antibiotic. I think that really messed up the intestines, and I think he
What are you
did
doing?
go-
Really, you don't look sick anymore?
No.
Are you feeling better?
Way better
That's good. And,
from like 4 years ago.
It's amazing
Yeah.
change.
Yeah.
and you go to school?
No.
No, I'm homeschooled.
That's great, isn't
Yeah,
it?
he's
And you get out to meet people and friends and stuff in some clubs or something.
Most likely.
Yeah.
You meet a lot of people.
Every day.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, you're fantastic. Real good spokesperson. Massive hope for so
Right.
many
Thank
parents.
We want people to know that there is hope.
I'm sorry about the vaccines, as Billy would say. That's what
Yeah.
my son says all the time. It just comes out of my mouth now.
Eden always says, "I'm so sorry." What do you say for the? He says we're autism survivor or the vaccine survivors.
He calls himself the autism
The
survivor.
autism.
And what do you
You
say?
go, you call yourself?
And say what you say when they say vaccines are safe and effective.
Liar.
Go ahead.
Do the way you
thing.
say it. You have to say vaccines are safe and effective.
Vaccines are safe and effective.
Liar. With a red all over my hand.
But we're very blessed. I mean, Aiden has, for the most part, I mean, he does have Tourette's. I mean, he has a lot of tics, and he doesn't always understand sarcasm. Sometimes adults will joke around and he thinks it's serious, and then you get angry. So we have to work on some behaviors.
don't understand sarcasm, I've discovered. They're sending you hearts.
Aw.
Can you see? I got it in the right place? Hearts.
Yep.
Oh my
hearts.
gosh.
And all these hearts here on that side there.
Awesome. Man.
Wonderful young man. Look at it all.
That's so nice because I've seen a lot of people say it,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
and it's so
Thank
true.
you. Yeah. You need to go and have a look back at this periscope
We
and then you
will.
can see all your hearts.
But there's
Still
been
coming in.
Aiden feels lonely a lot because a lot of people don't understand, like parents don't understand, like their children might want Aiden over, and if there is a little glitch or something that's not quite right, they just don't get it. So it can be very lonely. It's a lonely place sometimes, especially as families. I see other families talk about it. You don't have any support. We never had any support from family or friends or anything. No one understands what you're going through. And so
It is tough, that
it
loneliness
is. It is.
It was.
issue.
It's insane.